Welcome to Trial by Wine. We take a closer look at crimes that highlight how fascinating humans can be. Schmitty, Swanny and Clarkey visit crimes and run them through their jury of three, debating both sides of the case to agree an appropriate, if totally fictitious, sentence. Please be advised, Trial by Wine may include explicit or disturbing content and will include drunken rambling. Listener discretion is advised. All right, how are we?
I'm a little bit out of breath, if the truth be known.
Really? What have you been doing?
Nothing. I just ran up the stairs, but I say I'm a little bit puffed. That's tragic, isn't it? I hope everyone's feeling a bit better than me. What about you guys? How are you feeling?
We're good. We've it's obviously obviously for our listeners not obvious, but it's the Queen's Memorial public holiday in Australia today.
That's right.
So we've been dodging news of royals because I'm sick to death of it.
But over it. Me too.
We actually went out and planted some trees and some bushes and stuff because we're trying to encourage squirrel gliders back to the creek. So,
nice.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. Yes. So we'll see how that all goes. What about you, Schmitty?
Well, I walked up and down the street this morning.
Oh, wow.
Still on crutches, but I'm weight bearing now, so I can
How
walk.
far?
Well, I did basically 2 blocks. I could probably do more, but I'm very conscious of not overdoing it straight up. I did a bit of walking yesterday, and by the end of the day I was pretty tired and sore. So I'm also have taken a bit of my strongest of the painkillers to manage that. So if I do slur a little bit, it's not just the alcohol today.
Does it hurt when you walk, darling? Is it actually
No, it
painful
doesn't.
or raw?
No.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work. It's really hard to describe, but the leg definitely feels weak. So it's more like you're stepping on something that feels a little bit jellyish, and you're not sure whether or not you can fully trust it. And that's 2 things, like the new joint, but also, and then there's scar tissue and stuff. But the leg is actually weak. So if you see them side by side, you can see that my right leg is actually smaller now.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like it's been on a diet of its own.
It's crazy when that happens, isn't it? How quickly people lose muscle and muscle tone.
Mass. Yeah.
The wastage is, in a week it starts having. It's incredible. I've seen that firsthand with Jeremy. That was amazing.
So this is nearly 6 weeks. So yeah, it's sort of weird. But in terms of pain, it's achy and niggly at night. And yesterday I dropped something and I turned without thinking, and I felt pop is the wrong word, but I felt the joint do something. And so I instantly had probably 50 minutes of panic thinking, oh my God, I've dislocated it. But I would know if I dislocated it, I'd be in hospital again by now. So it wasn't that. It was just I've just moved the wrong way. But that's what I've got to be really careful of, because you get to this point and you get overconfident with it and you can actually injure yourself. So I'm just being really mindful. But other than that, that's pretty much all I've done. Is a bit of rehab this morning. Yeah.
Oh, good for you.
Nice.
Try to make me go to rehab. I said no. All right.
The irony of that song.
I know. Who are we? I'm Schmitty.
I'm Swanny.
And I'm Clarkey. And together we are...
Trial
by Wine. Woo. Speaking of wine...
Yeah, what are we drinking?
What do you got?
Well, for us...
No more of this Coke nonsense.
We've got a little Dal Zotto Vermentino, which is a lovely clear...
Is it from Sardinia?
It's from the King Valley, which is very much Italian.
Fairly local to them.
Because they love Vermentino. That's what they drink a lot of that, I think, in
really?
Sardinia. Yeah,
Yeah,
not
right.
that I do, but my friends and who drink a lot of Vermentino, and they certainly drink a lot of it in Sardinia. I think it's maybe it originates from there or it's popular there, I'm not sure, but there you go.
Yeah, right. Well, the King Valley is very much full of Italians, and they do Italian varietals. So,
All right. Where's that, Clarkey?
just about an hour and a quarter from us.
Is that all?
Just down the road. Yeah, it is
Victoria?
in Victoria. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a couple of little towns, Whitfield and Cheshunt, which is really hard to read and not say chestnut.
Just about to say that must present some challenges at times. People trying to say that and just, that is a challenge.
What about you, Schmitty?
I have a mango chutney. So it's a lovely warm day today. And so I'm just enjoying a little vodka cruiser,
Nice.
mango raspberry, for those of you who don't know that Carla calls it mango chutney.
Mango chutney.
And Swanny?
Oh,
Bit
you'll
of
be
DC?
massively surprised. It's a Coca-Cola, no sugar. I didn't even realise that Coke Zero didn't exist. It's taken me a while to actually clock
Got
on
rid of
that.
it now, yeah.
And I've asked, and they were like, "Oh no, we've got Coke no sugar." I was like, "Well, isn't that Coke Zero?" And they're like, "No, no, no." I was like, "Oh, whatever." You'd think for someone who knows, who drinks so much of it, I would have realised, but I don't obviously look at the cans. I just either do the silver ones or the red ones, and that's me done.
Have you got a story for us?
I do. And it's not the story you think it is, because the story, I've been talking to Schmitty about this particular story I'm interested in. I needed a bit more time to work on that, but I have another story. And it's one of those ones that when I started looking into it, I thought it would be it would affect me in one way, but it's actually affected me in a different way. And we'll get to that. I think it'll become apparent as we sort of reveal the story. Who are the victims, plural, as opposed to the victim in this crime? Because it really affected a lot of people. And it sounds sort of like a gossipy sort of love triangle, to be frank, to start with. But then when you really start to drill down and realise the effect it had on a number of people, it's really sad. Anyway, so let's start off. Yeah, let's start off with the hype. Well, it's sort of, I hope I can do it justice, because there are lots of details to this story that I don't actually have access to. It's a lot of stuff that's been said that, but I don't actually have the records of it, and you can't get it. It's like, so hopefully it will play out okay. But we're going to start out with I guess he's one of the main characters, and his name's Dave Krupa. And Dave Krupa, just a casual guy living in the US. He was recently divorced, I think, and he thought that he would perhaps join an online dating website in a way of helping him meet some new people. So, as I said, he'd separated from, I don't actually think it was his wife, it was his long-term partner, and her name was Amy Flora. And Amy and Dave had 2 children together, but he had relocated to Omaha, Nebraska to start a new job as a manager of an auto repair shop. New in town and hoping to make connections, he thought that being an online dating service would probably be a great way to meet people. And to be honest, I think it's probably not a bad idea. I've just realised as well that I didn't tell you what my sources were. I better tell you what my sources are. IowaColdCase.org, news.com.au, Deadly Women, that'll give something away, Wiki, ABC News US, 2020 US, and the Daily Mail, which was mainly for a couple of photos.
Right.
And there is a book, I think, that's been written about this crime, but I can tell you what that is at the end. I think it's got it's called A Tangled Web. I mean, really, there are so many crime books that have the same name. Okay, so Dave's new in town. And little does he realise when he signs up to this website that he's going to put himself in the path of a cold-blooded killer. Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
So Dave, as I said, was in Omaha, Nebraska. And the first person that he meets when he goes on this online dating service is a woman named Shanna Elizabeth Golyar, but she just went by the name Liz, so Liz Golyar. Liz was also a single parent, and they hit it off immediately. And by the 4th date, they were sleeping together. I thought that a really funny thing. It's like, that's quite a while to wait, isn't it? I don't know.
My rule's always been the 3rd.
Well, there you go.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's why I have it every date, the first 3 dates, one night after another.
Quick succession.
That's right.
Dave was upfront with Liz about not wanting to jump into anything too serious. And frankly, she seemed to be on the same page. So he's new in town saying, look, I'm trying to meet new people. You're great. This is fun. Let's go for it. After about 6 months of casual dating,
dance with my pants.
Yeah. This is in 2012. I didn't tell you when this was. In 2012, Dave met another woman, and this other woman's name is Cari Farver. Cari's also a single parent, and she'd bought her car into Dave's workshop for maintenance, and he immediately found that he was attracted to her. And he's gone on to say, I didn't want it to sound like one of the goofy movies or whatnot, but she wandered in and I saw her and I was like, hey, this is a good-looking woman. And the photographs that you've seen her, she's very attractive.
Did you say fava, like fava beans?
Fava beans.
Well, yes, I think so. It is spelled Farver. So, right. Yes, I think so. But I find it a difficult word to say, actually. Why do I find that hard? Farver.
It could be favour.
Farver, Cari Farver.
Like savour.
Because you probably feel like you want to say father, but you say
favour. Yeah. I feel like favour, I would like to say, but farver, yeah. On the second time that she came into the workshop, he actually asked her out and the pair went on a date. It moved pretty quickly, and when they went back to Dave's apartment, afterwards, Cari told him that she wasn't looking for anything serious. So, well, I think this guy's probably pretty lucky. He's got Liz going and they're having, their fun, and it's not too serious, but it's been going on for some time. And then Cari has walked into his life and he is incredibly attracted to her, but she sort of says, look, I'm really not up for much either. To give you an idea about Cari and where she was at in her life, she was a lively and warm woman who lit up any room that she walked into. But her life
I hate
hadn't
when we
always...
start these little stories and we immediately say she was.
She was, I
Yeah,
know.
I know.
was
It's a clue, isn't it?
It's more than a clue. And as I was saying it, then I thought, should I say she is?
It still
You know what I
is.
mean?
Yeah.
But, you know.
No.
It all gets a little bit complicated in trying to recount it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's in a great place in her life, and she lights up every room that she walks into. People are, attracted. She's very positive, but it hadn't always been that way. She'd had a child in her 20s, and after her son was born, she was diagnosed with depression, which eventually escalated to bipolar disorder. So it wasn't always an easy ride for Cari. But by 2012, when we meet her and she, going on a date with Dave, she was in a good place thanks to medication. So she was managing her mental health issues. And she held down a stable job as a computer programmer and was casually seeing Dave, and life was pretty good. However, just as things were heating up and Dave and Cari were sort of starting to see each other a little bit, it was only like early days. I probably only had like first or second date. Liz, who was the other lady that he was seeing, turned up at the house at the same time, saying that she wanted to collect something that she'd left there. Dave quickly explained this situation to Cari, and she understood and just said, oh, look, I'll call it an early night. So as Dave has buzzed Liz in, Cari is being let out, and the pair of them pass each other in the hallway.
And
it was a brief encounter.
Baton.
Yeah.
The baton.
Yeah, or at least a high five.
Yeah.
Yours.
So just you could imagine it would have been, well, I mean, if it happened to me, I imagine it'd be awkward. I don't know that I would have got into it, but just like, oh, God, I would have felt embarrassed, to say the least. For everybody, frankly, all three of the characters would have been embarrassed. Yeah. Just to give you, to be very clear on this, Dave and Cari had only been seeing each other for a very short period of time. We're talking a week, 10 days, 2 weeks. I mean, we're not talking long at all at this point when then that interaction has happened. Then on November 13, 2012, just after dating for 2 weeks, Dave received a text from Cari saying she wanted them to move in together. So early days. When Dave replied to say it was
quick.
Dave replied to say it was too soon, Cari immediately became aggressive. Fine. I hate you. I'm dating someone else. I don't want to see you anymore. Go away. Her text read.
Little out of what we...
Little strange.
Wasn't she supposed to be all casual and fine?
Yeah, when I say I'm not looking for something serious, I actually mean I'm a serial killer and I totally want to stalk you for the rest of your life.
That was Cari, the good-looking
Cari.
bird.
Yes, we've had a bit of a shift there.
Okay.
Not bad for 2 weeks of dating, hey?
He must have been good if she changed her mind that quickly.
Absolutely.
Or she stopped taking her meds.
At the same time, she told her mother, and I presume this is via text, that she had moved to Kansas for a new job and wouldn't answer phone calls. Because, again, that's perfectly normal.
Is she still taking her meds at this point?
Well, this is where it becomes quite clouded for people because we've got this backstory. Because at this point, people are wondering, oh, gosh, remember she does have a history. She is bipolar, but she's been managing that beautifully on medication. So when she starts doing this stuff, I don't know this is so much for Dave because I don't even know that she and Dave probably got to that point. Yeah. But for her mother, she's like, oh, no, I think she's not taking her medication. This doesn't feel quite right. Yeah. But there's certainly there's a history of not smooth sailing, shall we say.
Yeah.
Well, so she's told her mum she's moved to I said it again. Kansas. She's moved to Kansas. She's moved to Kansas for a new job.
Very dry there.
Could you imagine? I'm off to Kansas and I won't be taking calls.
I don't think we're in Canvas anymore,
Toto.
That's right. That's exactly what I thought. Well done for working it in.
Yes. So as a couple of weeks go by, first of all, she misses her half-brother's wedding, and that was on the 16th of November. So that's very soon. So remember, on the 13th of November is when she's come out and said, hey, I don't want anything more to do with you, Dave, because you don't want me to move in. And she's also sort of got in touch with mum and said to mum, I'm off to Kansas, don't contact me. But I guess I'd always assumed that she'd be back for the wedding. So 3 days later, she doesn't turn up for her half-brother's wedding. And at that point, they are starting to become quite concerned and she is reported as missing. But nothing really happens at this point. It's only a little bit later when she then misses her father's birthday, I think it was, or a stepfather it might be, his birthday, that they think that there's no way that she would have ever done that. And there's no there's sort of no record of her. She's sending messages but not talking to anyone.
No
She
one's
won't
spoken
call.
to her.
Correct.
No one's seen her.
People are starting to become suspicious. Many of Cari's friends and family members are starting to receive similar messages of like, I won't be back, but they're skeptical about it. But they couldn't prove that they were illegitimate messages. So it's only when they start...
necessarily think that they were, you know.
Yeah. So as this time sort of starts to progress, we're talking about weeks that are sort of going into months, so in November into December, she continues to message people, but she doesn't really respond to things, and she's certainly not speaking to anybody. There's no contact. And what they do see is there starts to be a real shift in her tone. So she's gone from saying, I'm going, I need time, I need space, you know, I don't want to move in with you, I hate you, to him, and just sort of saying nothing, to actually becoming quite cruel and nasty. And the way that she's speaking to people are becoming stalkerish. So there's that real shift starts to happen. And then we find in January of 2012, so remember this is only from November to January.
3 months later, yeah.
And Dave is being harassed the whole time. Her parents or her family are getting more and more sort of nasty messages when they're trying to reach out to see if she's there, because they've got, you know, that she's still in contact on her number. It's just got very nasty. And then Dave notices a familiar car in a nearby parking lot when coming home from work. He goes and has a closer look to make sure that it was Cari's vehicle. And he's taken a picture of the number plate, license plate, and he sent it to the police. So the police immediately go and check the car. It was definitely Cari's car, but they could only find one single fingerprint on the whole car, and it was not Cari's. But they didn't have anything in the system to suggest whose it was.
And nothing else, like it had been washed or cleaned down.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I don't know. There's nothing to
Yep.
suggest that, but they were certainly, I don't know how you have one and not two. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you're going to do...
Well,
I don't know how that works. Yeah. So
Maybe they stopped after finding one. That's enough. We only found one, and we didn't look any further after finding one.
God, there'd be millions in
because there were so many. I couldn't be bothered. I just found that one.
That'll do. Job done.
It's having a bad day.
As this sort of is starting to play out, we start to hear that she's also reaching out, that's not quite the word, stalking, for a better word, Liz Golyar, who had been the lady that she'd passed in the hallway at Dave's house. So Dave's on and off, shall we say, girlfriend. I think their relationship had always continued.
Casual squeeze.
Yeah, shall we say. Friends with benefits, or, you know, whatever you want to call it. But she also starts sending some really terrible things to Liz as well. So Dave continues to receive threatening, abusive message, but a lot of the focus started to be on the messages that are being sent to Liz and also to Dave about Liz, the woman that she'd just briefly seen that night. Liz contacts...
Ships that passed in the night.
Yeah. But things start heating up, and Liz contacts Dave and tells him that he knows she's also receiving the message, but someone has spray painted "whore from Dave" on her garage. So,
Whore from Dave. That's not a thing.
Oh, he's got to love signing his own name.
I don't know why you wouldn't
With
have
a heart at the end.
Why don't people hark back to that one of those early stories that I did with it was the pebbles with the thread on it?
Yeah.
Pebble with a thread.
Yeah,
I always
yeah.
find pebble with a thread is always a nice touch.
Exactly. Like if it had said whore on one side of the garage and Dave was here on the other, you might go,
Yes.
oh, well, that's probably more likely than whore from Dave.
Whore from
'Cause
Dave.
No one would do that. I'm saying that makes Dave innocent in that bit of vandalism.
Yes. The harassment really started to escalate to the point that Dave was sure that someone was actually watching him. On one specific occasion, he was sitting on his lazy boy watching TV with his feet up, and he received a text saying, "I see you. You're sitting in your chair with your feet propped up, wearing a blue shirt."
Oh, yeah.
And he said, and those things were all true.
Did you say he began to suspect that someone was watching him?
Yeah. Yes.
I think there's a bit of certainty.
It's funny
there.
when he's interviewed and when they see him speak, he's just a really casual kind of guy. Like, you can't believe something so horrendous has been in his, orbit. It's just like, yeah, I couldn't quite believe it kind of thing. So Liz and Dave are still seeing each other casually. And when they were together, they would quite often receive messages at the same time from Cari harassing them. They'd be sitting beside each other on the couch.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Of course, this whole time I've been suspecting Liz, but...
Yes, yeah. So, Liz is with him when all this is happening, and Cari seems to be gunning for them both. She's, becoming really threatening, and the harassment just gets worse and worse to the point where Cari threatens to kill Liz, and she sends Dave a photo of a woman tied up in the boot of her car. of ACAS,
Jeepers.
of a car.
Oh,
So
right.
this is a big departure from the lovely smiley woman that he met, you know, in the auto shop, and on the second time he saw her, who was beaming, thought, I'd take her on a date.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you said that she was the one who said, "Look, I just don't want to do it. Like,
Yeah.
I'll keep it cash."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently, at one point, all three of them had said that. Remember at the outset of these,
Yeah. We're
because
all
you know everyone
casual.
does. Oh, we're all casual. It's all good.
I'll keep it casual like my murders.
Okay, so just to give you a bit of a time frame, remember, so 2012 was when Dave meets, Liz earlier in the year, Cari later in the year. Cari disappears in November, doesn't turn up to a birthday and a wedding, and then in January is when her car is found by, or located or seen by Dave, and he reports to the police. As 2013 progresses, Dave and Liz's relationship continues, and the harassment just seems to be nonstop. But then in August of 2013, Liz's house burns down.
Oh my!
With her two dogs, Pet and Pet Snake.
Oh no!
Also died.
Oh.
But this is just like a footnote in this whole story. It's like, so obviously they think that it's Cari.
Yeah.
But there's no one knows where Cari is, so it's not like they can even find her. At the same time, or not the same time as the house burning does specifically, but during that year, her mum, Nancy, is constantly trying to reach out. She's asking to meet up. She's, basically begging her daughter to give her a sign. Please, just call me. Anything, so I just know you're okay. And she just becomes increasingly cruel, and then starts to, say terrible things about her mothering and how she'd been controlling. So poor Nancy's in pieces. Not only has she lost her daughter, but now she's fearful that something's happened to her. Or if somebody has her, they're pretending to be her. Or she just doesn't know what's going on and really has nothing to work with. So then jumping ahead to 2015, so this sort of harassment, stalker behaviour from Cari just
3 years.
continues. Yeah.
Jesus.
And in 2015, so it's 2.5 years since Cari's even been seen alive, detectives at, this is a fantastic name, Potawatomi, which is spelled Potta, Watta, so Potawatomi, MIE,
Brilliant.
County's Sheriff Office in Iowa took on the case.
Potawatomi.
Potawatomi.
That sounds like one of our Indigenous names.
Sounds like
Potawatomi.
frontal
It does a
lobotomy.
bit. It's funny because going from, Omaha,
Frontal
Nebraska, which
lobotomy.
Yeah.
Omaha, Nebraska sounds familiar to all of us, but
Oh yes.
I'm not sure that Potawatomi County does.
No.
So they take on the case. And funnily enough, they're immediately suspicious of Liz, who had only had that brief encounter with Cari, but now seems to be the main focus of the harassment campaign, because remember, now she's coming out and saying, my house has been burnt down.
Yeah.
This woman is threatening me. It's all coming towards me.
Was Liz's snake a fire dragon?
I don't know. He'd be toasted, that's for sure.
That could explain why the house burnt down.
The two detectives looked through the case file and the contents of Liz's phone, which she had happily agreed to allow the police to download during the original investigation in 2013. On the phone, they found a photo of Cari's car taken weeks before the police found it, and the photo of a woman tied up in the boot of a car. They also matched the fingerprint found in the car to Liz, but they didn't have enough evidence other than that to really proceed. So what they decided to do at this race is trying to catch her out. They're going to set her up.
Was the photo of the
sting.
woman tied up in the car the same photo that was sent, or was it a different
I
one?
don't know. I do not know the answer to that.
That would be a hell of a coincidence if there
I'm
were
going
two
to go.
different
I'm going to
photos.
go with yes, it was.
Yeah.
And what I find difficult in retelling this story is the articles that I'm going off. There must be so much more information and stuff involved, because I've basically taken you from it's all no one's looking at Liz to, oh yeah, she's obviously the suspect. But is it only because these two detectives picked the case up again and had gone a little bit cold, I assume, and people weren't really looking at it? Because it's the fact that they've got a photo of her car, the fact that they've now got her fingerprint. That's quite a leap, right, from having nothing.
Do you know how they got her fingerprint?
No. See, again, that's
I bet they took a can of Coke Zero over there.
I don't know. But Liz is not finished yet. She's still, awful things are still happening to her. On December 4, so this 2015 is when they picked up the case, so she's still living, her best life out
La
there.
Vida Loca.
Living La Vida Loca, that's a much better saying, much more apt. On December 4, 2015, Liz walks into a police station to file a complaint against Amy Flora. Now, I introduced Amy Flora at the very beginning. She's the ex-partner and the mother of Dave's children.
Correct.
Oh,
What?
right.
Remember? Yeah.
Well, no,
Because
I
she
didn't.
now believes it's Amy who's behind the harassment.
Oh,
right?
God.
She doesn't think, she's like, I maybe it's not Cari. I think it's actually Amy. So on December 4, she walks in and she's like, okay, I think this woman I need some protection from this woman. I think this is the woman who's behind the harassment actually. And then Deirdre Chambers, what a coincidence. The very next day, there's a call put into emergency, the police, 000 999.
Yeah, 999.
911.
Oh, that's
Poor
it. 999 in the UK.
911, 911. Exactly. I've heard I actually have heard this. 911, 911. I've been shot in the leg.
Oh.
The next day, Liz said that she was shot in the leg while walking alone at night.
Oh, no. She's been shot in the leg by herself.
She claimed Amy was the shooter, and she had already reported Dave's gun as missing. So Liz has already got that sorted out. So when she shoots, if she's shooting herself, let's say, with the gun, that's why that would make sense, because she's already gone to the police station and said, I think it's Amy. Oh, and Dave's gun's missing.
Yeah, it doesn't sound
Seamless.
credible, does it?
Is this a real story or is this from Midsummer Murders? It's about as silly as one of those. Right.
Oh gosh, I think aspects of it, when I saw part of the documentary on TV about it was way more, I don't know, it seemed much deeper than possibly
Credible?
the way I'm presenting it. The way I'm presenting it makes it feel incredulous. It's like, what? Well, how could you not know? But many times we've looked at this and people just seem to be able to believe what they want to believe in given moments. And this was, this is years and years in and complicated and people's backstories feeding into that, meaning it wasn't as obvious as it perhaps is when I'm reading it out now.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's now come forward. So at this point, I presume she just goes to the ER and goes home. But as part of their investigation into the case, the detectives once again asked to download the contents of her phone, which she once again agrees to. On the phone, they find evidence that Liz had up to 20 to 30 fake email addresses and was using an app to schedule messages ahead of time.
Oh, right.
So that's how they could okay.
That's how she was sending it to her and him at the same time. Yeah. Right.
There's actually an interview that I've seen with a gentleman called Tony Carver, and he was an IT specialist within the police department. But as I understand it, he actually had another full-time job. This was just something that he worked on for them on the side. And I believe that he worked on it for a couple of years. So whilst, I'm jumping here and they find this and that, there is stuff going on in the background where he's actually analysing all the stuff that she has done. And he said, we had to get it done to a degree. He said, because, Cari is missing. Cari's got a son. Cari's got a mother. Dave's being harassed and, Liz is being harassed, whatever it is. But this woman is a total piece of work. But Tony Carver, as I said, he reckons that she'd been impersonating people for 5 years. So I don't know if that was just, it wasn't in terms of time, wasn't long enough for that, but this is kind of her modus operandi. That's what she does. But a very important point for us all to note is digital evidence. They can still find it. So what you do, we always know, it leaves a footprint or whatever else, but it just takes someone with the expertise and time. I think a lot of it is time to really go back through all of this and really pull it all apart.
Sieve it out and say, there it is.
And you look at the screens, he's looking at it, I was like, I don't see anything. It's just all code and whatever else. But oh my word, she must have been very, very busy. Okay, so when they find all these fake email addresses and this web that she's woven, they decide that they're going to use Liz to capture Liz. So what they do is they're going to go and tell her that they think she's right. They think it's Amy. And this is brilliant. So they told Liz they believed her and reached out to her to ask Amy to see if she would incriminate herself. So Liz sent Amy an email and immediately started forwarded emails to the detectives. They were supposedly forwarding them from Amy, confessing to shooting Liz. In further emails, Amy also, sorry, I did my quotation marks. Amy was very happy to just start confessing, right? Amy also.
You got me. It was me
that
all
happens.
along.
Yeah. So she's, oh yes, it was me. I did shoot you in the leg. But then Amy also confesses, more importantly, to stabbing Cari 3 to 4 times and stuffing her body into a garbage bag.
Oh no!
I think we know how Liz killed her then.
Mm-hmm.
Close.
And I'm assuming that these emails that are being sent are actually a falsified email address that she's created for Amy.
Just horrendous. It was so basic when she came to it. It was kind of like, I was so angry and you did this and yes, I did that and I killed her by, it's like, there's your evidence. It wasn't me. There's the lady. Amy's saying it's her. Incredible.
Really? That Because that happens all the time,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Like,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you
Yes.
asked. I'm glad you sent me that email requesting information about my whereabouts. I've just been hanging out to tell someone.
Unbelievable.
yeah, exactly.
So they brought Liz in for questioning, and while they did that, the police searched her apartment and found some of Carrie's possessions, including a digital camera and a
Hang on a minute.
camcorder.
They brought Liz in. Why aren't they?
Why very
why aren't they
Amy?
talking to Amy? I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Why haven't they brought
What was
Amy?
quite interesting from the very beginning, that Amy had an alibi that was watertight from the night of the shooting, so they could just discount her. She had nothing to do with any of it.
So they found a camcorder.
Yeah, but what was quite interesting was at some point, it must be around this point, they go back in and they're looking through some of Dave's things as well, and I think it's to try and look at, from the digital footprint, and they find, I haven't used the term, is it UBS? No, not UBS. USB, like in a computer. That it was, yes.
USB.
Yep. And on that, when they go through all, it was like, there is a photograph of a decomposing foot. And it's Carrie's because it's got a tattoo on it. And the tattoo that she had was, I think it was the Chinese character for mother or something. But the foot was decomposing. And so that was hugely important. And it's just random. She's deleted everything else and it's just one photo left of a foot decomposing. So, and they wouldn't have found that if they hadn't have, it had been left in something, when you just forget that you've got things in your or used to in your computer or from your phone or your camera or whatever else.
Shit everywhere. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
So,
mind you, I'm not, recording murders. So,
Yeah.
the stuff I've got hanging around doesn't matter.
So on December 22, 2016, so 4 years after Cari had vanished, Liz was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. That's when, I like that, Dave realised that the woman who was currently dating was actually the person who'd been stalking him for over 4 years. Liz had burnt down a house, she'd killed her pets and shot herself in the leg. And Cari, poor Cari, had been dead the whole time.
Oh, she killed Cari too. Yeah.
So it was she was busy.
Cari. And her pets. It's not that I don't feel for the human victims in these stories, but the dogs always get me. The pets always get me.
I mean, that's just awful. Why would you do that? Why would you have
attention? Is
why,
this like
couldn't you be out walking
thing?
the dogs and the snake and what was the other thing that she had? I can't remember.
Out walking the snake.
I normally just on that particular night, it's like just so you can burn your house down with your animals out, your pets outside. Do you know what I mean? And so he's got the,
I always take
got
the
snake around. It's like,
like,
it's unusual that you had your snake with you.
It likes the fresh air.
I just take him out for a walk with the dogs. What was it? There was another pet, but I can't remember what it was. A cat.
Oh.
2 dogs, a cat, and a snake around her neck, taking them for a walk.
Wow.
I suppose it would seem more compelling if you knock off all your pets as well when you burn your house down. But she's a psychopath, so
she is.
Doesn't think the same way as normal people.
I'm going to tell you the way that she died, but what I would sort of like to more focus on is
Cari.
Yeah, I will, just to let you know what happened. And it was funnily enough, close to what Amy had said when she was quote unquote confessing.
That makes sense.
Amy, yeah.
What they're saying happened, and I don't know that Liz has ever actually said this is exactly what happened, but this is what they believe has happened. On November 13, so the day that she went missing, Liz gained entry into Cari's residence, demanded Cari's cell phone and password, and then kidnapped her. Liz then proceeded to stab Cari repeatedly in the stomach and chest. She claims she then burned the body, dismembered it, and deposited the pieces in trash bags in remote locations.
Did you say burned the body, then dismembered it?
Yep.
That is what she said.
That'd be quite hard to do, wouldn't it?
God, that's odd.
And deposited the piece in trash bags in remote locations.
To burn human remains properly, you've got to get it to a really high heat.
Yeah.
And so really probably all
About
she'd manage to do is char it.
Yeah.
And then maybe think, that didn't
too
work,
hard.
so I'll chop
Doused it in petrol.
Home
and
crematorium didn't work.
that didn't work.
I've just created a mess now. More
Home creme.
cleaning.
That could be
temperature.
That's home creme. It sounds like a product, doesn't it?
My DIY kit
creme.
didn't work out for me the way I thought it would. Yeah.
To this day, no trace of Cari Lee Farver's body has ever been found. But as I said, police had discovered that photograph of Cari's severed foot, identified by the telltale tattoo, that had been deleted from Liz's phone, which was enough to charge Liz with Cari's murder, despite the lack of a murder weapon or any other physical evidence. And when they went back to Cari's car, because it was still, saved somewhere, they took off the seat covers, like the actual
lamb's wool.
one that
or whatever,
and there was a big blood stain in the
blood under
sponge
it,
underneath. So
in the foam.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is the story of Cari Farver, Liz Golyar, and Dave Krupa. But what I sort of wanted to I guess, dwell on a bit was the people that I feel really, really sorry for are her family. And I feel sorry for Dave to an extent, but I mean, Dave, at some point, I mean, it seems like a nice...
No, you don't expect
I
these
know,
things
and he
to
seems
happen
like a
to
really
you,
lovely
though,
man,
right?
but surely there must have been some
He's a bit
signs from
dopey.
Liz. I mean, bloody hell.
It sounds like he wasn't the sharpest knife in the
No,
drawer.
possibly not.
And also, he hardly knew Cari.
That's true.
Like, he'd
That
only
is
known her
very
for a
true.
couple of weeks.
Maybe that helps it be more believable in some respects, that she just was a nut job and then she was,
Turned out
she was a
nut job,
stalker. And in the 2 weeks that he knew her for, she was what she was.
She seemed all right, but she turned
exactly.
and, then she was mad.
But the poor family and the calibre of
But
messages.
her mother searching for her and just getting nasty notes back and knowing it can't be her.
Now, this is when I make it a little bit about myself. Does anybody else here have some signs?
A Tinder
A
profile?
stalker?
No. I have. There are a couple of clues, and I can't share them exactly with you in case it happens to. But if I get kidnapped, or if anything happens, there are a couple of things that I've told people that signs and names and things that would be signals that I would, or they could check with me.
Like,
yeah.
Okay,
and I thought that would have been quite useful because,
like safe words.
yes, things like that. I think it's quite useful. And I thought, gosh, if you had that in place and you could have just, I don't know, but
Look at Clarky's face. It's
I'm
like
just
he doesn't
shocked.
understand
You don't?
at all what's going on
Yeah,
here.
no, I
don't know
don't.
why I do.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the thing is, I've been saying this since I was a kid.
Swanny's got codes just in case she gets
So I think my mum
disappeared.
and my husband, I don't think my kids know it because I wouldn't want to freak them out, but I often say it in a joking manner. If that happens to me, you know that you can ask for that person. This, I have these sort of things that are like
clues,
yeah.
because they won't remember and it'll all be
Yeah.
red.
Oh, but they would.
And Swanny would be sitting there going, "Oh my God, red! I told you red."
Oh no, it's names. So it's things like that where I think, if I had to give someone a sign or whatever else, then I would.
Right.
But you don't have your own kidnapping
What do you do?
plan?
Do you carve it in the wall or something as you're leaving? Or
Oh no, I repeat it like probably every once a year when it comes up, and I say, "Oh, remember that I've got that. If you ever need to get me a message, or if you ever get a message from this person, it's me."
another name code name or something.
Yes.
Right.
A
So
code name,
you're thinking if you get kidnapped and then you have to use someone else's phone, you'll say,
if I was able to get,
you'll say it's me, Marilyn, and they'll go, that's Carla. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be, my nickname might be something because, cleverly obscure as
I'm not
Coca-Cola
quite sure why
Carla.
she
Yeah,
can't
Diet
just
Coke Carla.
say
Yeah,
it's
fine.
That's what I'm
Come
trying to
and
get my
say
head
anything.
around. I don't understand the
don't know why I
context
have
that
it.
you're
I don't know why I
going
have
to use
it.
it in.
I speak Lucy.
I've always had this
Did
thing.
you see some spy film or
but
something
it's
as a
been since I was a
child?
child.
Yeah.
I've always said, just remember, don't forget that name. That's the one that I will, if I have to contact you, that'll be how I contact you. And I don't know where this originates, but it's something that when these kind of things come up, or I see movies or whatever else, and I think, oh gosh, how would I let them know it's me? How would I let them know things are all right, or I'm in trouble or whatever else? And I think, that's all right. You've got your code name. You're good.
Well,
assuming I'm able to use it and I'm not stabbed up and dead in a car.
exactly. It would only work if someone was ransoming you, and you'd have to be really thinking about what your code word is specifically.
I guess that's what
saying.
I'm confused by.
So you need to.
It would have to play out in a very specific way
need to put more work
for it
into
to
this.
work.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
You're completely right. And I'm not saying
Like,
I've never really thought it through. I'm not saying it's fail-safe plan.
Well,
it was more just, I seem to have
I'm just
name.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, is there a way that you could work your code so that, when you're somewhere, you could spell out the longitude and latitude as to where you were, perhaps, or
okay.
it's got to be more useful than just it's me.
No, that's not. I know that. I do understand that, but coming from a child and the fact that I've always had this thing in the back of my mind that if I needed to,
you're going to be.
So it's born out of fantasy,
day,
not out of fear or reality, is it? Is that right? Well, I feel like it's
certainly.
no, it'd
it's
solve
not
your
practical,
fantasy
let's be honest, because
problem.
I've never truly thought it through. Yes, I don't know why. I think it just always alarmed me, and it's this thing that I think this is why this case sort of bothered me. It actually.
How would people know
it's really you? How would you like someone impersonating you? How would you like it if someone's sending Tony messages or Woo messages going, I hate you, I want to stab you in the heart like she was doing? I mean, I don't think I'd feel terribly comfortable.
Would they then have to send back to you saying, what's your real name? And then you'd come back with that name? Or
Well, yes, I think that's kind of right.
Yeah, right.
Because
Right.
I think
Okay,
the
so-
mum at one point was trying to ask us something that only the mum would have known,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I'm just saying, people, maybe have a couple of 2 or 3. It's like, be your password, not your mother's maiden name, not your first pet's name.
Secret
Yeah.
info that
Not
only
your first
you would
street's name,
know.
all that stuff. Something that is particular and really obscured, but that you will always remember that that if you were starting to get stalker messages from the person who'd kidnapped your partner, on the off chance, that you would have some kind of...
So you'd send them a note saying,
Yeah.
what is a very personal
Yes.
thing about you that only you would
Yeah.
know. Yeah. I don't believe you are who you say you are.
Yeah.
Could you use it
Well,
in the
that's what Mum
context
said.
of like a joke? If someone texted you, how many babies does it take to change a light bulb? And then you'd have to have the right answer to confirm it's you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Something that is
because that's from
ridiculous,
Look Who's
obscure, probably, something
Talking.
that no one could make fun
And look who's, and the answer is, what's a light bulb? And I feel like that would be a good one, except that it's already in a movie that everyone already knows now. So
Except,
it doesn't
you just
quite
told
work.
everyone.
Damn it!
Yeah. Yeah.
I gave it away.
It also doesn't work if you're dead.
Yeah, well, no, that's
You
true.
know, it doesn't work if you're dead.
Well, that's
That
the
is
point.
the point. But I'm just saying,
Yes,
if you were alive, and it just
doesn't work if you're dead.
It doesn't work if you're dead, of course. And I'm not suggesting
No.
it does, but it's this idea of, I just felt so bereft for this poor mum who, for 4 years, is getting increasingly nasty message, beyond nasty, threatening to do all sorts of things. And she, I suspect, probably doesn't really believe it's her daughter. I think
Possibly did initially, and then went after the wedding was odd and the father's birthday. I'm like, nah, this is not her.
And then there's no record of her anywhere. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's awful.
it is awful. It is.
It is awesome. So what happened to Liz in the end? Did she go to jail?
Yeah, and what was the motivation?
Oh yeah, sorry. It was the jealousy. It was because of Dave. That's all it was to do. It was Dave.
That's
She
it.
just wanted Dave. Yeah.
If she had have stopped with the text messages, 2 months or 3 months after Cari disappeared,
Yeah.
would anyone have kind of continued to suspect Liz, or would it have gone?
Quite possibly not. But I don't know. It would have gone very cold. Yeah, that could have remained.
I'm just shocked at how horrible.
Yeah, I don't think she's sane though.
No, I don't.
Oh.
But I think she was getting a whole lot of enjoyment out of
Something, yeah.
saying really nasty things to all these people. And
It's not just about Dave. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I don't think so. I think she's just she's
But
not.
you said also that she had a whole bunch of other false identities.
Well, not necessarily. All I know is that they said that she had been impersonating people for 5 years. So whether she had, but that
So
takes
that
you
could have
back
been
further.
Cari and-
it was
right.
definitely Cari, but it could have been some other people beforehand. So she probably had a little bit, some other side. They estimate that she was spending up to 50 hours a week just impersonating Cari.
Gosh, that's tiring.
That's more than a full-time job, right?
Exhausted.
God.
Yeah.
Well, not more than mine.
I imagine
but,
she'd go over to Dave's for a little bit of, Dave, I've had such a big week,
Yeah.
I'm just here for friends with benefits. Sort me out because I've been busy.
Do you mind if I text while you do
terrorizing
it though?
you. Yeah.
I've just got to schedule
What
a
a
few more
coincidence.
texts.
But yeah, they did find this app that she had, and she'd set it, and that's why the text would arrive at the same time when
can
they'd
do
be
it
watching
online.
TV. Yeah. Oh, I guess you could do it.
Well, it's because she's used the app.
Of course, you know that.
I worked in telecommunications, right? So just before we all get funny.
Okay.
But yeah, it's because she's used an app. That's why it's coming from Cari's phone. Because you can send text messages online, like via an app that will send bulk SMSs.
Of course. Well, that's
but
how we
it'll
get
come
everything.
from some rando number. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what was interesting to me was that they were coming from Cari's phone. But now you've explained it with the app. Yeah.
I keep thinking this is the ultimate good news, bad news for Cari's mum.
How's that?
Do tell.
Good news is your daughter's not a shit. Bad news is she's dead.
Oh, ouch.
I think you're
So-
probably right though, because
Is-
I think by this stage you probably would have arrived at the conclusion that she might have been.
Tony, is that why you're not a policeman? I feel like you'd go to the door of the mum and go, "Hi, it's
Good news,
Inspector
bad
Your daughter's not a shit. She's
Tony
just dead.
here. The good news is your daughter's not a shit. The bad news is she's dead." Yeah. Anyway, have a good night.
I'd broken it softly and said,
Clearly.
all those with the daughter take one step forward. Oi, where are you going?
Right, that's enough of him. Sorry.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, so what happened to Liz? Did she go to jail?
She did. I'm just looking at her.
Good.
Oh, yeah, she's got a life sentence, but I think it might have changed. Did they do it?
Did they find? Sorry, did they find
First degree
Carrie's
murder.
bodies?
Nothing.
Bodies.
Never.
Harry's
nothing.
body? No, they
They've got
never
nothing.
recovered it.
No.
Oh, shame.
And Liz clearly wouldn't say.
I don't think she said anything. There's nothing that it's that thing. I think she's still saying she's innocent or something. I think she's just doing a nut job.
You're not alone there, Robinson Crusoe.
What did Amy say?
What did Amy say? Amy said, "It wasn't Liz. It was me.
It was me.
I promise."
Oh, goodness.
Liz Golyar is currently detained in Nebraska Correctional Center for Women located west of Nebraska and serving life sentence in prison plus 18 to 20 years for the 2012 murder of her ex-boyfriend's girlfriend, Cari. The case is dated 5 December 2016.
Life plus 18 years.
Yeah, so how do you do that?
I don't even know how long that is.
Oh, it's probably because of other charges, so impersonating someone and yada yada. So life for the murder and then 18 years for a bunch of other things that are associated in charges.
Well, because would she be charged? Surely she'd get charged for some of the impersonation,
Fraud,
and the fraud and
impersonation
the
Harassment.
harassment.
charged for shooting yourself, saying that other people had committed crimes when they had.
Would you get charged for shooting yourself?
Shitting yourself? I hope not.
Shooting. Like, shitting yourself.
crimes against
Crimes against yourself.
humanity?
But
Yeah, crimes
anyway.
against yourself.
Yeah, but like, remember there was a charge about brandishing a weapon outside a moving vehicle or something in one of our earlier ones.
Yeah.
Like if she shot herself in a moving vehicle, would she get charged with that?
Aggravated.
As well? Yeah, if she was angry, would she get charged with aggravated self-harm?
Aggravated assault of herself. I don't know the ins and outs. I'm not quite sure what the rule book would say about that.
Fascinating to explore.
And it is Nebraska. So
Nebraska.
it could be different somewhere in middle America.
Still reminds me of my
Omaha.
teacher. I had a teacher from Nebraska once.
Really?
Yeah. She used to give us, she was a singing teacher, and she used to give us vocal warm-ups, and we'd have to go, meeny, 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 mo. I digressed. Back to the story.
Well, that is the story, I think.
That is a story. So to sentencing then.
It's kind of a love triangle. Oh.
It's sort of not though. Like there was no love really in it. It was Cari was just 2 seconds,
No,
got
that's
on
true.
with her life.
Totally.
Probably wasn't even that into Dave.
No.
I literally just don't understand it. I feel like, Cari wasn't looking for anything serious. Dave probably didn't know what he was looking for, and yet Liz was just all in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you did red herring it with the whole internet dating thing because that didn't seem to have anything to do with it in the end.
No. It was just how
She
he
likes her
that was
red
just
herrings,
how, that was
doesn't
just
she?
how he met Liz.
Right.
That was just how he met Liz.
Oh, online. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
but remember what was interesting I thought it was quite nice actually, was that he did meet Cari in an old school kind of way. It's like, oh gosh, aren't you gorgeous? Would you like to have a date?
Schmitty, when we started talking about internet dating, you said it hasn't worked for me, and I feel like it hasn't worked for Dave either.
No. I think you're right.
Who did you stalk, Schmitty? When you went?
Stalk anyone. I had a couple of really awful dates.
But someone
Who
did.
did you stalk and murder over
But
a
someone
4-year
did.
campaign?
No, someone's tried to kill her, but she won.
Only because she's got all the inside knowledge.
That's
she's not
right,
like,
yeah.
I know where this is going. Nope.
We don't talk about that, but that's what
No,
really
we don't.
happened.
Bookshelf full of soap.
No, I did a little bit of it, and I think we've talked about in other episodes
Yeah.
that I just found the whole thing really bizarre. Like you spend all this time talking about your profile and what you want,
Yeah.
and then you just get like invited to go out with people who clearly just don't match you at all.
At
Like,
all,
none of it made any sense.
I find it terrifying. I really do, because I think I'd be so bad at it. I don't know how to pull if you're not drunk in a pub, frankly.
Yeah, but you see, I didn't end up pulling via internet dating.
No, neither would I.
And I met Tony, drunk in a pub. That's
Exactly.
How you do it.
That's how I met my husband, drunk in a pub.
That's how it's done.
That's how it's done. Because
I
otherwise,
met my husband drunk in a friend's house.
Yeah. We
Well,
were drunk.
Similar.
Just
Was he in a cupboard or was he like under it?
No, he was in the
definitely wasn't in a. He definitely wasn't in a.
He was in the rape dungeon.
Being spanked.
lovely.
Not really.
Lovely. He was having a little spank, and, and he popped in and said, "Oh, hello! I like the look of those cheeks."
No, we were watching fast forward tapes.
Yeah, we were
VHS
watching
tapes.
fast forward tapes. Yeah.
Oh,
Bless. Back in 95.
I love
in the
that.
day.
Back when VHS was a thing.
No, but it's true.
Yeah.
This whole idea of there's a couple of people around me who do online dating, and it just seems that the concept of doing it to start with is you're putting a version of yourself forward, or the best version of it. It's filtered, and then they invariably seem to go and have a copy, and then it's again sitting down there presenting a version of yourself that you think they want to do, and then assessing with it. Surely drunk in a pub is a much more
Way better.
but they don't seem to do that anymore.
I wonder if eHarmony have ever thought of doing a case study on this one to use as an ad. We met online.
Speed dating.
I really loved him.
I feel like I did do that. I feel like I did in
Speed
London.
dating's
I can't
stupid
remember.
too. Yeah.
I don't remember. I just
tried
talked about
that
it.
a
I did
few
actually
times.
go. I feel like I might have done it once.
Well,
I can't
it's
remember.
just draining. I find the whole thing draining. You know, just
Don't have to
boring.
worry now. You got a fiance. You're all good.
That's right. That's
A
right.
Sorted.
fiance.
A fiance. Tick
Yeah.
that box.
That's right. Because
And a how. You got a how now too?
I've got a how and a fiance. I don't
Yeah.
know why we're speaking like this.
You
but
put a
yes.
half on me.
You'll be the how
for
You
you.
put a half
I
on
got half for
me.
you.
3-bedroom house.
4-bedroom house. Anyway.
4-bedroom house.
4-bedroom house. All right, enough of that. Okay, so shall we talk about sentencing? Because obviously I would like Amy to, get her comeuppance.
Yeah.
Even though the poor thing. never
Amy
did
sitting on the sideline, bringing the two children up. Yeah, that's
Oh, I know exactly.
terrible, terrible, Amy.
Causing all the problems.
Yeah.
Poor Amy. Her good name has been besmirched. And of course, Dave,
besmirched.
Oh,
Great word.
There's a word
Lovely
you don't hear
word.
a lot of.
I think poor old Dave, he was a bit of a doofus. He could have taken a touch more responsibility for stuff, but at the same time,
Don't victim shame. He's a
I'm
victim.
not though, because if I was sat on a couch, if you think people are generally normal and you sat on a couch with a girlfriend and she's receiving texts at the same time and you only went out with this other bird for 5 seconds, then you could reasonably think, gosh,
Fair
we've got
enough.
ourselves connected to some total nutbag. But yeah, no, so Liz is really the key issue. And look, I'm just going to put her in a house and set it on fire because she killed her poor dogs and her snake and her cat. And, I guess she killed Cari too. But for whatever reason, I'm more disturbed by, in some
fact
ways.
that the animals were like just collateral damage in her plan.
Yeah,
Can we make
that's
sure
so cold.
the dogs and the cats and the snake are out of the
They
house before you
survive.
set forth?
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you very much.
Yeah. Everyone survives. Cari gets to go and live in the good place in Trial by Wine World where none of this awful shit happened to her. And so the dogs and the cat and the snake. But that Liz, she's burning in that house.
She's trouble.
That's
She
from me.
is,
I know
because-
that sounds pretty harsh, but
Nah.
trouble? She's a bit more than trouble.
Yeah.
God.
She's a bad one. Yep.
There is an episode, I think you'd call it an episode, that I am unable to watch in Australia, but it's coming out, or I think it's already come out
Because
in
you
the
won't
US.
follow my advice on how to do these things. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't have the time, frankly. But
Tell me
it's more to
offline.
do with that. It's more to do with that. But where I'd be really interested in is seeing more of a character development around Liz, because the thing, what I can't find out is much about her at all, except
was
of all the
she?
things she
Why
did.
is she like this?
But why?
Yeah.
Is she, and remember, she's a mum. She's a single parent. Remember that we said at the beginning. It's like I'm so annoyed with her that she spent all this time manufacturing this. It's disgraceful that she affected so many people. Like it would have been her own kid's life, Dave's. Obviously, we know she's murdered Cari, but it's just a vindictive.
Cari's family.
And it didn't need to ever be
Amy.
this. Yeah. Oh, poor Amy. Yeah.
The silent victim in all of this, Amy. Yeah.
I mean, where were the other people in Liz's life? Did she? I don't know. I can't give you enough colour around who she is to be able to tell you more than that. But that's the kind of stuff that raises questions for me. It's like, wow. I mean, I know you were a bit pissed off that you had a bit of competition, but now that she's dead because you've killed her, do you still have to continue this and then bring Amy into it? All of that stuff. It's just
It
awful.
also makes you wonder whether there's something else that we just don't know about prior in terms of nefarious behaviour, because Why suddenly start this? And as you said, there's 5 years of behaviour pre-Cari, right?
Yeah.
So something else was going on
including
with
Cari,
her.
including Cari.
But there's other stuff,
Yeah.
that we don't have the detail of.
Which, for 5 years of impersonation.
Which is probably pretty interesting. Yeah.
But it's very hard to punish somebody who you don't understand, because what you want to do is you want to take away what they really need. And
you totally know that's how I operate, Tony. That's right.
Or just a nut punch.
That's what I struggle with, that she's done the murder.
Yep.
But then that, 3 or 4 years of carrying on this horrible, torturous behaviour for everyone.
Including herself, by burning her own house down, shooting herself in the leg, killing her pets. I mean...
That just sounds very single white female to me. Remember that movie where one woman wanted to be the other one, and it was just...
I have had my own single white female.
Have you? Of course you have. You probably had
got
hundreds
over
of
that,
them.
Swanny. I don't know why you keep bringing it up.
I even cut my hair differently now.
Not something for the podcast, but yes, I did.
Oh, well, maybe it is. When the court case is finished.
Maybe.
Anyway.
And that bitch is behind bars.
All right, come on, you two. Give us a sentence.
So we were watching, remember I told you this show we were watching where they said what happens to terrorists in Egypt.
Sharks
they get them naked, chuck some blood in the water and whatever. So there was also a thing whilst they were torturing someone, and they play this, it's kind of like white noise, but it's this noise that is kind of quite torturous. So they put them in headphones, blindfold them, and so there's just this noise that is designed, I think, to start to send them crazy. And I think Liz could have some of that action, but it would have to be like 50 hours a week, because that's how much time she spent impersonating Cari. Yeah. And so it drives you crazy, which, probably wouldn't take long for her anyway, because I feel like she's pretty much there. But, I would like her to just be tortured for the murder is horrific, and in another world where the rest of it didn't happen, you'd go, she's a horrible person. But like you said, Carla, the being the mum, I think even Dave, I think, God, you could absolutely see a world where he had no idea what was going on here. To be throwing Amy under the bus, all this sort of stuff, just torture her till she goes batshit crazy, and then
start all over again.
Feed her to the pigs.
All right.
There we go. She won't be doing that again.
No. Absolutely. All right. Well, two things first. One other things I wanted to add was to your point about Dave being, I won't say blissfully unaware, but, he just wasn't clued into it. He said, I don't think it even sunk in when I heard her pronounce guilty. It was surreal. If I read this book, I wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Which is fair. So in terms of sentencing, the only person I wish to sentence is Liz. And where I find this difficult, and sort of to Tony's point, is I need more about her. Yeah, and I just can't find it. But it'll be out there somewhere, and it'll be in a fabulous documentary, and hopefully I'll get to see it someday. So all I've got to work with is I think that this was motivated by her jealousy for what she saw was her love rival in Cari. So I'm sort of a bit torn, but what I'd like, I think, to do is take her to Trial by Blind World. I need her to be in sort of like those double-sided, what do they call it, double-sided mirror or something, where you can see out.
One-way mirror.
One-way mirror, that's the one. Double-sided tape, one-way mirror, same. DIY expert that I am. Embarrassing.
I'm sorry, when it comes to DIY, I've never put a one-sided mirror up.
But now that you've planted that seed,
and if anyone was going to,
that's right.
It'd be Schmitty.
Tony. So, no, all
so
I'm
for the new house, perhaps.
All I'm hearing there is
our double-sided one-way mirror.
Oh, don't mind the mirror. No, it doesn't look weird. When you turn off the light, don't worry about the person behind it. It's fine. It's just a tube of light.
All I'm hearing
all the
there
new houses
is
are getting them these days.
All I'm hearing there is you didn't DIY it. You paid a tradesperson to do it, because clearly you've done it.
Yeah.
But
no, I haven't. But as you say, God. Not yet. Ha ha ha
ha.
So what was it called? A one-way mirror.
A one-way mirror. Yes.
A one-way mirror. Right.
Yes.
So imagine. So we've got one of our little side things in Trial by Wine World is a one-way mirror. So we've got Liz behind it and Liz is looking out, and what Liz can see, I think what would upset her the most would be to watching Dave. And I didn't know if I wanted him to have a life with Cari or if I just wanted him to continue on having lots of relationships with lots of different women. I don't know what would upset her the most, but what I would want is that it was like she never existed. So it's not like he carries a flame for her or that, he's looking out and seeing, dropping by her house or checking her numbers. It's like she was so inconsequential to him that it was just, I can't remember. Did I sleep with a woman? I don't know. So that she was but a passing
fancy.
Not even that. It was just, someone that fell into his lap and
one night stand
and nothing more. Because I think, if she had a bit of clearly she had a vested interest in this, I think that would torture her to watch him. And again, I don't even think it needs to be with Cari. I think that she was just the person that, she felt was going to take Dave away from her.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we could do some kind of version of The Bachelor.
Yeah.
Only instead of throwing her out, because, as they get rejected.
Yeah.
Because she's so, there's a way of doing The Bachelor where she's always not winning. She can't hurt anyone.
Yeah.
But she's basically every day being reminded why she's never going to win the bloke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she doesn't get the rose, but she doesn't get thrown out, so that she's just perpetually being rejected.
Perpetual rejection.
Is Dave the Bachelor?
Psychological.
Everybody.
It could be, but it
Should be
doesn't
Dave,
really
'cause
matter.
she
The
fancied
object
him.
of her affection.
Oh, that would be quite nice. So each day it's Dave is the Bachelor and there's a new lineup, except that she's consistent in the lineup every day. He doesn't remember her from the day before.
Oh, yeah.
So it's with every new set of 12 people, she still never gets chosen. She's still
Correct.
just
Oh,
not on his
that's
radar.
good.
She never makes it.
No.
Never makes it. She's always
no
inconsequent.
no
feeling.
no date on their own.
Yeah.
I don't.
No attraction, no interest, no nothing.
And
It's
then-
just
There are
like
things
he's
they
not
do, like
interested.
they
I love
select
that
them for
Schmitty.
special dates and bonuses and stuff. She never gets picked for anything.
No.
Brilliant.
She's literally the fat kid who gets picked last on every sports team. Only in this story, it's The Bachelor, and never gets a rose.
No lollies for her.
No.
Nice.
I like that, Schmitty. I think that's a very
good
nice
job.
way to tie it all together.
Well,
So there you
I'm
go.
glad you like it. All right, well, Swanny, that was really good. Never heard of it before. Feel sorry for Cari and her family,
Yeah.
but you did a great job of, telling us yet another story where you got to be careful about who you go out with, because sometimes they could be Liz's. You're right, Liz.
Certainly.
Oh, Lord. Oh.
And possibly that was nicely fitting that the murderer's name was
Liz.
also
Oh.
Liz, given that today
A
is
story of
the day that
Liz.
So
we're
beautifully tied in there.
memorialising Queen
Memorial-
Elizabeth II. Thank you very much for your service, Mum.
Just to prove that all Liz's aren't the same, we'll do this.
No, that's right.
All Liz's
The
aren't
polar
created
opposite,
equally.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that, Swanny. Great story. And as we say every week, miss you already.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye, guys. See you soon.
Bye.
Ciao, Bella.
Thanks for listening to Trial by Wine. You can contact us at trialbywine@gmail.com. Please rate, review and subscribe to Trial by Wine on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to support us, you can become a patron at www.patreon.com, Trial by Wine, or visit our website www.trialbywine.com to donate to us. Your support will help us cover many more cases and apply wacky sentences. We really appreciate you listening and hope you tell everyone about us. Our cover art is by John Christo and music is by Beauchamp from pixabay.com.